Hey there folks, this is Greeny welcoming you to my impressions of Ubisoft conference at E3. Um, and to try and make this as simple as possible for you guys, but some of the stuff that was going on at the Ubisoft conference, it was quite confusing at times. There were some brilliant ideas there. I mean, some games that are coming out are so through the wall, you know? Outside the box, I mean. They're good. There's some good stuff coming. So, I will be reading notes, so I can't help that because I really don't want to miss any little thing that's going on. So I hope you'll forgive me for that. Let's have a little look what we're going to start. Oh yeah. It started off the conference straight away with the guitarist from Alice in Chains playing Rocksmith 2014 from Ubisoft, of course. And it was slightly awkward maybe when he was going through the menu options, because I don't know if he's a gamer really. I don't know if he would really play the game or if he was just doing it for the publicity stunt. But it was a good showing. I mean, he could play the game well because he can play the guitar. And it was showing to me that you can choose instruments. Pretty obvious. And apparently, it's a good way to learn the guitar. So maybe it's got like training modes as well as just playing along with the game. I always imagined that it would be like Rock Band or Guitar Hero, where you don't really need to know the instrument, but maybe this is more realistic. I don't know. But there we go. Next up was Splinter Cell Blacklist. Now, we've seen this on was it the Sony conference? It might have been on the Sony conference as well as the Microsoft conference, it wouldn't surprise me. But it's typical Splinter Cell. Stealthy, night vision goggles, spy stuff. But this one, it has multiplayer. I'm not sure if any of the others had that. I think they might have done actually, but you know. And you're with a partner this time. You have someone with you, not necessarily multiplayer, but you have somebody with you. Like Resident Evil 5, where you had a character with you, but not necessarily multiplayer. Yeah. It'll be out in August. So it's not long to go for that one if you're looking forward to a new bit of stealthy action. But can't wait long enough for Metal Gear Solid 5, which will probably be the better of the two in my opinion. But they have two different feels to them. Splinter Cell always felt more dark and serious and stuff than Metal Gear Solid. So if you're looking forward to that, not long. Rayman Legends. This was probably my favourite of the conference. Possibly anyway. There's one other that it might be. If you played Rayman Origins, you'll know what's coming. It's pretty much the same game but with some new characters, especially this Viking girl who was shown in the trailer with an axe. Good humour. We get that from Rayman every time, pretty much. Some of it might be a bit cheesy and a bit too French. French humour? Yeah, toiletries and all that stuff. And there'll be some new worlds. Obviously, there'll be new levels and stuff. Apparently, there will be over 120 levels, which is pretty huge. But if it's anything like Rayman Origins, some of the levels will be incredibly quick and short. So, I mean, it says that it's the biggest Rayman ever, so it might be a tiny bit bigger than Rayman Origins, even with the short levels. I don't know. The Glade of Dreams returns. Now, that's something I'm excited about, because I can remember seeing that in Rayman 3. I think so. And now it's back, so that's nice to see. And the multiplayer, you can play co-op multiplayer, just like with the new Super Mario Bros. Games, where you have a couple of toads and stuff, and you just run through the levels with a couple of you, through the main game and everything. You can either do that was shown in the trailer, or you can do competitive multiplayer. That might be fun too. I like the sound of that, especially if it's online, but I don't know. Rayman Origins had no online multiplayer at all, so I can see it just being sitting on a settee, playing against each other. You know. The mighty quest for epic loot. They were going all out with humour for this one. Especially the name, which is just... It was to the point on purpose, you know? Intentionally to the point. You build a castle. You build your little castle. You have a treasury in there, which you put all of your gold and stuff in. You place some rooms with monsters, some rooms with traps, and you make your castle as defensive as possible, so that other people, proper people, you know, come in and have as hard a time as possible getting to your treasure. And once it's all built, you head off to the other people's castles and try and get through their castles and get their treasure back to yours. It sounds really good. It reminds me a little bit of Fat Princess, but it seems a bit more in-depth and with a bit more variety to it. So I think it might be better, but without the funny narration and the fact there's a fat princess, which always everyone loved. I think. What else is there? Free beta. The free beta of it is up now. It's obviously heavily emphasised that it's online. Yeah. As well as that, South Park, The Stick of Truth was mentioned. Now, this is an RPG that was actually mentioned a long time ago, but now it's actually got a date, and that's the holiday season. I think it's still going to be an RPG. No gameplay was shown. It didn't say what genre it was. It didn't say anything like that. But it did say holiday season for release. And it showed a little cutscene from the game, which is exactly like the cartoons, which is amazing. Family Guy did that with their last game as well, so I don't know. Maybe it's not too tough to do, but still, it's pretty amazing. Now, next gen Ubisoft. Let's move on to the Xbox Ones, the PS4s, the whatever. First off was The Crew, and this looked spectacular. The graphics especially. It's a racing game. The graphics especially looked so ultra realistic. It was like looking at photos and everything. This was the first game of this next gen that's actually hit me like that, graphically. I actually couldn't tell if it was real world or video game graphics at some points. Sometimes you could tell, mainly because of the material of some of the cars and the colour choices. But I think you may be able to choose all that sort of stuff, because it was emphasised that everything was customizable to the extreme. So if you like that sort of thing, go for that. You can race on motorways, you can race on a variety of tracks. He was emphasising, once again emphasising, that there are a variety of tracks, from deserts to icy places to motorways to forests. It almost feels like a Mario Kart game in that sense, almost cartoony in the fact that you can go anywhere you want, loads of different types of tracks, you need to take over each city one at a time and try and take over the whole world. I'm not sure if anything prevents you from doing that. Probably just races or something. It wouldn't surprise me if you could stop someone from getting that city by playing online, protecting your city or something like that. Or at least there might be a mode like that. That would be interesting to see. That's just speculation. That's just made up crap, but it might be interesting. What else? They quoted that it blurs single and online modes. So it's heavily online. It's pretty much just an online game, but you can play single player, but it won't be half as fun. That's what they were getting across. And they admitted that, so yeah. That's good of them to admit. So if you're a single player, you probably don't even want to get this game. Maybe. Unless you don't mind having a pretty empty world. But they did say it won't be empty, actually. There will be AI drivers driving around as if they're online people. So it might not be so bad on your own. I don't know. Variety of tracks. There is no lobby or way to separate people coming in, dropping in and out of races and stuff like that. So that emphasises the blurring the single and multiplayer idea they were going with. You can tailor your cars heavily, just like I said earlier. You can customize pretty much anything about your car, from the engine to the frame on the outside to, I don't know, apparently you can customize pretty much anything on the car. Yeah, it was a long demo involved, a very long demo, which showed a couple of people playing together to get through a campaign, which changed the whole campaign mission altogether. I mean, it was still the same objective, but it made the sort of track seem more, not cramped as such, but packed. You know, there were a couple more things going on as you drove around. You could see more cars going, and I don't know, it just seemed a bit better in general. Watch Dogs was next. We've seen this a couple of times throughout the conferences already. Based on technology, hacking, sort of a Grand Theft Auto feel to it, with the mini-map down in the corner, and you have to follow the roads and stuff to get to your objectives, you know. What it showed this time, which was a little bit extra, not that much, but a little bit, was that the character's chased by the police, but he also helps the police to catch sort of big-time hackers. And in this case, in the trailer, it showed, in the gameplay trailer, actual gameplay, it showed that he was catching what was it? A child trafficker, I think they called it. Which was good. It was really good looking. Maybe not something I'll play because I'm not that into Grand Theft Auto and those sort of styled games, apart from Simpsons Hit and Run, which was amazing and completely different. It was good. Anyway, Just Dance 2014. Not many people in the audience seemed very excited for this one, for obvious reasons. It's a very casual game, and people who go to E3 are normally quite hardcore gamers. In general, I mean, you know, you get a lot of casual gamers as well. I'm not saying, you know. But yeah, artists go from Nicki Minaj, Psy, Ollie Murs. 6 players. It's a party game. It's 6 players. It's going to have a lot of available things that make people want to have a party game with it. Does that make sense? No? Okay. It's out in October 2013. Yeah. Next up was Rabbids Invasion. This looked like a little bit of a kids game. I like my Rabbids games, but it looked like it was going a bit too young. They marketed it with these little kids playing, not on the stage. Probably because they would have got too nervous, and even adults can't cope with that most of the time. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this one. There wasn't enough substance to it as such. It's probably going to be sold cheap. But yeah, Rabbids Invasion. You interact with in-game TV shows of the Rabbids, and it's made by Nickelodeon. Maybe not made by them, but it must be shown on their channel or something. You change the scenes in the one game mode by throwing eggs at the rabbits, and that changes the in-game TV scene completely. Or you can play a different game mode where you find something in the scene, sort of like Where's Wally or Where's Waldo for the Americans, where you just look around the scenes and find different items. But they seem so easy to find. It's obviously a kids game in general. And Scream with a Rabbit, where once the rabbit starts screaming in the scene, you have to scream along with him and break the program. Yeah, that's all there is to say about that. I mean, if you have little kids, go for it. Or if you like rabbits so much that you just have to try every one of their games. It doesn't look too bad. It does the concept well, and this is what I was talking about with Ubisoft thinking outside the box. This one might not work so well. I don't think it'll sell all that well altogether unless parents buy it for their kids a lot. But yeah, I can see where they're coming from. Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, complete opposite, like, she even said that in the show. Pirates, we've seen this in the other conferences, so it's quite hard. I don't want to repeat myself too much. Pirates, there was a bar fight shown in this cutscene, which I hadn't seen this cutscene before, this cinematics. Lots of sword fighting. Open world, it said. Is it open world in the same sense that the other Assassin's Creeds were open world? Or is it more open world because you have a ship and you can sail anywhere? It's a bit different. Metal Gear Solid is doing this too with their latest game. Where you can go anywhere in the world but still have a bit of story going on as you go around, you know? It's nice to see some different things happening with games and things evolving. Even if I don't like that sort of thing, it's nice to see it happening. There was a great song and cinematics as always. Assassin's Creed have always had that sort of thing. And ship battles are back. Cannons. You can jump on the ships and sword fight. Whatever you want to do. Typical Assassin's Creed stuff. Now, Trials was next. There are 2 Trials games coming. One is going to be for Xbox One, as well as Xbox 360, PS4 and PC. That is called Trials Fusion, and it's typical Trials where you're doing stunts while jumping in the air, but this time instead of just jumping off a ramp and doing stunts in the air, you are coming out of a plane or helicopter at the top, and you're sort of doing the stunts on the way down with bits of road in the sky. It's quite strange, but it looks good. And the other Trials game is for mobile phones and tablets, I'm assuming, and stuff like that. That's more typical Trials. That is called Trials Frontier. And you just go up ramps and go across obstacle courses and do your stunts while you're going along. Sort of like, I don't know how many of you will have played Joe Danger the Movie 2. It's a PSN and 360 game. And probably on PC as well, I'm sure it is. But yeah, 2 new Trials games for the Trials fans. Must be a good year for them. They ended with this, and this was so good. It looked so good. Tom Clancy's The Division. Now, we know Tom Clancy from Splinter Cell, but this isn't like that at all. It's all out action rather than stealth. There might be some stealthy parts to it. It wouldn't surprise me. You don't have to stick to one genre in a game. By no means. But it's an open world, online RPG. In the sense that, how is an RPG? It is not an RPG. Looking at the trailer, it's a third-person shooter. It didn't show any RPG elements at all. You can set skills, but you can do that in shooters. You could set new weapons, but you can do that in shooters. It's not an RPG at all. I mean, even Mass Effect had some RPG elements where you chose your discussions and things like that. Maybe it just didn't show any of it in the trailer, which would be a bit of a bad idea, but we'll see how that comes along, because it does look interesting otherwise. It's got... the idea. It didn't actually give a name for a long time as such. It didn't stamp the name down. Overspending will ruin the world. This is the whole concept of the backstory and stuff. Overspending will ruin the world because apparently at the time of the game's story, $200 billion could be spent in one day of shopping, which is quite a lot. We know that. So it's probably in the future, quite far into the future. So a lot of money is spread around, a lot of money. And it came to Black Friday where so much money was spread around with so many germs on them that everyone was catching a pandemic. They had to go to hospital, they had to... And everything sort of collapsed from there because all the hospitals couldn't hold all the people and stuff like that. So it feels like an apocalyptic game again because of the economy this time. There's always a different reason for it, but it's pretty much the same concept. Apocalyptic. To carry on with the story, The Division will save the world from this happening because it hasn't... The trailer sort of showed that the apocalypse had already sort of happened because cars were lying about crashed and stuff. But it also said that The Division will save the world from all this happening. So, I'm not sure which the game will base the game on. Will it be apocalyptic or will it be you being the agents trying to save the world from this happening? I don't know. But maybe some of it has happened so far. I don't know. Definite emphasis on co-op online. It was showing a demo where one person was playing on stage, if not more. Might have been a couple of people. He didn't show it properly for us watching online. And there were a couple of people dropping in and out, and in brackets on one of the players in the game, it said tablet. So, but he was in like a flying vehicle thing, so I don't think you can play the game online fully on a tablet, but you can sort of control a flying weapon thing to help out the people on the ground. That's the impression I got. And it looks really good. It looks impressive as hell. And something I'll look out for. I don't know what console is for, but it's definitely something to look out for. You can drop in and out seamlessly. Someone came in and they were all surprised on the floor. Oh, look, it's him. Didn't know you were joining us today, mate. Right, yeah. So they've joined. And then he left in a bit. Just went, okay, I gotta go now. See you in a bit. Bye. And he left. No lobbies, no lag, no anything like that. So it was good. It was good to see that. So that was a new IP, obviously. The Division. I gotta say something about the woman who was mainly hosting everything. She was like this really tall woman. She was always making jokes about her own height, about her being a giant and things, and looking down at the people who came on the stage going, wow, you're so short, and I don't know, things like that. It was really funny. But at the start, I couldn't tell if she was going to grasp the audience or not, because she was sort of insulting the audience. I can't think of an example right now, but it was so funny. How there was a bit of nervous laughter because of it and things like that. And now and again she would patronise the audience at the start. And then her mic went funny. She was talking and it would just break in and out, and it would just take her breath too much. Read her breath too much. She had a new one after a while and it all went fine. And as soon as she got the better mic, she was making better jokes as well that wasn't insulting the audience unintentionally. So I think she might have just been nervous about the mic, and that's why she was doing that at the start. She was hilarious though, I gotta admit. If you haven't seen the conference, the whole live stream was recorded and put on YouTube. Just type in like E3 Ubisoft 2013, and that's what I did. That's what it came up as, because I was actually busy last night when it came on. So anyways, this has been Greeny XI. I hope you've enjoyed my E3 ramblings. They may have been a bit long, I don't know. I hope not. I've enjoyed E3 this year. When Microsoft was the first one that I saw, I was a little bit disappointed and thought that maybe it would be as bad as last year, because last year's E3 2012 was pretty awful. But this year's has been really good. It's really improved. Even Nintendo's was really good, even though they wasn't even on stage. It was just a streaming thing, and that was short. And because it was short, just like it was just like Nintendo, short, to the point, and just there for the fun. Didn't need all the big flashy stage presence or anything like that. Anyway, I've gone off topic. This has been Greeny XI. Hope you've enjoyed. I'm sure I'll mention E3 again once or twice in my vlogs, but please give me a shout if there's anything I can improve on. I'm sure there is some stuff. I've tried to be really prepared for this stuff, which I never normally am. So, I'll see you in a bit, guys.